So, good morning, Toronto. Good afternoon, Berlin. First, I would like to thank Christina Arendt and Matthias Mück for the invitation. Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here to discuss with you startups in Germany and Canada. First, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Matthias Wallisch. I studied economic geography in Munich. I was a visiting scholar at the Simon Fraser University in Vancouver, where I conducted research for my thesis concerning high-tech clusters. And since 2009, I'm working for the LKW Kompetenzzentrum. I would like to give a short introduction of my company. So we are funded by the Federal Ministry of Economics and Energy. We are a think tank with a transfer agency, and our focus are small and medium-sized enterprises. We offer consulting, events, websites, and online tools which are free. And we focus on the topics human capital development, innovation management, and entrepreneurship. We are headquartered in Eschborn near Frankfurt. So what I would like to tell you about in the next 15 minutes. So we have a brief look at the current startup hype. I will give you a short introduction of Eisenberg's concept of an entrepreneurial ecosystem, and we will look at the startup development during the last 15 years. But the main focus of the presentation is in the role of the state to develop an ecosystem. During the last years, we witnessed a change in the general perception of startups. The chart shows the search queries in Google more than doubled since 2011. So when you write, everyone wants to know what are startups. And it's also the first time that the word startup is mentioned in the coalition agreement between SPD and CDU in the current legislative period. So we have a huge perception concerning startups right now. And where are these startups? When you look at the map, you have many hotspots, especially Israel, Singapore, followed by the United States. But on this original map, Canada is missing, but I think that Canada is a little bit ahead of Germany concerning startups per 1 million capita internet startups, but a little behind the United States. So I didn't check the numbers, but I think because Canada has more younger people than in Germany, and I think the entrepreneurship culture is a little bit more developed there. So I think Canada is doing quite well there. So when you look at the map, you can ask yourself, where should I start my startup? And this chart shows a comparison between different locations, Berlin, San Francisco, and London. And it looks at the costs, rental costs, office costs, employee costs. And concerning these costs, Berlin is quite affordable. And it's doing quite well, also concerning the quality of living. So this is like Berlin has some advantages compared to other locations in the world. From a policy perspective, it is also interesting why it is so important to support startups. When you look at the number of large corporations which were founded during the last decades, it seems that the United States is a much better place for the development of big companies compared to Europe. When you see this, like during the last 50 years, most of the big companies came out of the United States and were grow in the United States. And when you think of the Microsofts, the Facebooks, Apples, and Googles, this impression is reinforced. So there's one important question. What can a state do to improve the conditions of an ecosystem to generate innovative startups with a high growth potential? Let's have a brief look at Eisenberg's concept. I don't want to get too theoretical, but when we're talking about ecosystems, it's helpful to have a short look. An ecosystem consists of 6 domains: policy, finance, culture, support, infrastructure, human capital, and markets. Each entrepreneurship ecosystem is unique. That is why Silicon Valley cannot be replicated, and there are multidimensional cause-effects relations that are impossible to track down to 1 or 2 key roots. And an ecosystem becomes relatively self-sustaining as soon as all 6 domains are strong enough. That's the theoretical background. Startups in Germany. When you look back the last 15 years, you can identify 3 waves, and every wave has its social and technological drivers. The first wave started in '97 with the Neuer Markt, our technology exchange. The second wave was driven by this upcoming social media, and now the third wave is based on the mobile web, cloud computing, apps, alternative energy. And every wave has also localized in Germany, and the first wave more localized more in Munich. And the third wave now, we have the epicenter in Berlin, where we found a lot of startups. And also Hamburg and other regions are strong. But I think Berlin is at the moment the top location for startups in Germany. Okay. So now let's have a look at the policy instruments which can foster the entrepreneurship ecosystem. This is like a framework, and on the horizontal axis you see like the science-based innovation process which can be fostered, and on the vertical axis there are different categories where a state can get active, like the regulatory environment, entrepreneurship and education, access to finance, and technology exchange. So, and I will pick up some examples to show you what happened during the last years here in Germany. First, let's have a look at the regulatory environment. One thing which was really important here was the Pact for Research and Innovation, which provides security in terms of financial planning to all research institutions that are funded by the federal government and the states. These are Helmholtz Society, Max Planck Society, Fraunhofer Society, Leibniz Science Association, and this strengthens really the backbone of applied science in Germany, and this helps to generate spin-offs. It's an important step. The second thing I want to mention here is the German Employed Inventors Act. So now universities can lay claim to inventions created by their employees with government funding, and so this should also help to foster spin-off creation. And the third thing is the University Freedom Law, which grants universities more freedom in setting their strategies for research and then also in terms of spin-off creation. And one important event was also the introduction of the entrepreneurial company with limited liability. So now it is possible to found a company with just €1 of share capital. When you wanted to found a limited liability corporation, you needed €25,000, so which was really difficult. And now it's also much. You can also be much faster when you want to found a company. Okay, next area of instruments and next category: entrepreneurship, education, and awareness. So when you look back, like in 19 and during the middle of the 1990s, we didn't have any entrepreneurial universities in Germany. In 2008, we had 60 entrepreneurial universities, and now the number nearly doubled. So we have about 120 universities who try to educate and focus on entrepreneurship. The problem we still have is that you don't find the universities in the rankings, and so the government has introduced the so-called Excellence Initiative, which is endowed with €1 billion. And altogether, you can say during the last 15 years, major improvements could be observed regarding the entrepreneurship education in Germany. The next category is the access to finance. So here I would like to mention first the High-Tech Gründerfonds, which is a fund which was established in 2005, and about 600 million euros were invested in 300 high-tech companies in Germany, and this gave a real boost to the venture capital market in Germany. So this is a big success story. And furthermore, there's a new program since 2013. It's called Invest, which promotes private investors, business angels, who buy shares from young innovative companies, and when they hold their shares more than 3 years, they will get 20% of their initial investment back. At the moment, there's also a new venture capital law in the pipeline, but it aims to improve especially the tax framework in Germany, but it's not passed yet, so we are still waiting for it. And overall, you can say in Germany, it's much more difficult to organize initial public offerings compared to the United States, or compared to Canada, because since we don't have a real technology exchange, and our technology exchange was shut down in 2003, and we don't have a successor since then. Here you see some investment sums of venture capital in Germany compared to other European countries, and it shows the investments in relation to GDP, and Germany ranks somewhere in the middle. And the countries with the highest investments in Europe are, for example, Ireland, Finland, Switzerland, and Sweden. Okay, let's come to the last category. Technology exchange, innovation, and networking. To increase technology transfer through spin-off creation on a national level, especially out of universities, Germany maintains a program called Exist, which is really important. And this program supports annually up to 200 founding teams. And compared to other spin-offs, the Axis group had larger founding teams, higher technology orientation, closer ties to research institutions, and more science spin-offs. And now we come to the end. And regarding the internationalization of startups, we have two institutions, like the German Silicon Valley Accelerator and the German Center of Research and Innovation. And now I can conclude. Overall, you can say that we have, overall in Germany, we have a distinct political agenda to promote entrepreneurship among its population. So here you can see the different instruments. And we still have a bottleneck in the later stage financing. Maybe we can find a solution there. And everyone who is interested in this topic, I can send a paper which was published in Triple Helix. And I can't be here later, and so send me an email, and I will send you the information. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm looking forward for questions and for the discussion.
Thank you, Matthias. So we have a first round of questions. Who would like to start? And Toronto, I try as good as I can to see if you raise your hand and to make sure that you're involved as well. So first questions. Okay. And please say who you are and where you're from. I'm going to hold the mic for you.
Okay, thanks. So my name is Hannes Weiland. I'm currently located in Munich. I lived in Canada for about 8 years and worked for a startup there. And I'm currently launching my own business in Munich. I'm very curious, so you talked about what's currently going on in Germany and kind of the policies that we see here that are creating an ecosystem. Has there been an analysis yet on what Canadians can learn from the German system and vice versa, what Germany can learn from Canada?
I I'm not familiar with such an analysis. So this event can be an interesting start so that we can learn more from each other. And overall, I don't know any analysis at all which really gets deep into this ecosystem perspective here in Germany, because here in Germany it's quite new. In the United States, you will find this, it's more established. So we're just getting started to accept that the environment of startups is really important for the development.
Thank you. We have another question here.
Hi, you mentioned the German Silicon Accelerator. What is your thinking about it? Is it something good, or it's just a harvesting machine of US investors where we send the companies over with a one-way ticket?
Please let everybody know who you are.
Sorry, Frank Salzgeber, European Space Agency.
As far as I know, it organizes field trips to the Silicon Valley and even to New York, and it tries to connect these startups with companies in the United States and with venture capitalists. But I can't give you a detailed answer if it has been successful so far.
Okay, another question here in Berlin, or a question from Toronto? No? I've noted a question for you, because I got the preparation material from my colleagues, exchanged on some questions. And in one of your answers, you mentioned we should do it like the French on private investment. Sort of, what can the state do and sort of support, if I cite you here correctly. Could you talk on that?
Pardon me, I didn't get your...
You mentioned France as an example, how to support more, to get more private investment in the market.
I mentioned which country?
France, Frankreich.
Did I do?
Then I didn't, and I got it wrong, and we blame it on Michael.
Maybe when we talk about entrepreneur, it's a French word.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
The president of the United States once said the French don't have a word for entrepreneur, and this was 2003. I remember that, but I'm sorry. I think I didn't mention that France had.
Okay. It was Mr. Misfeld, I was told. So now we thank you, Matthias, for the presentation and for timely. A big applause. And now I have to look into the room if Dirk Heiteprim from BlackBerry is already here. He would be the next. He told us he might be late. He is late. So I would ask Frank Salzgeber if you could start your presentation. Thank you very much. Frank Salzgeber is from the European Space Agency, Head of Technology Transfer Program, and he will talk to us on entrepreneurial space. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation.